Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. My name is Justin Thomas James. Thank you very much for being here for part 2 of the Dead Tired Book 3 Cold Reads by Ravensdagger. Well, the cold reads aren't by Ravensdagger. The book Dead Tired 3 is by Ravensdagger. But I'm doing the cold reads. If you are new to this channel, if you're tuning in on YouTube, welcome. This is our YouTube, we're calling it the Clip channel, but there's probably a better name. But essentially, oh wait, no, never mind. This is not the Clip channel. This is the SBTL channel, so never mind. Forget I said that. We do have a second channel. If you go on YouTube and look up just Sound Booth Theater, I think that's the way to find it. You'll find our second channel, and that's going to have more of our creative content. Things like animation, motion comics, little promotional things that we've got going on for the channel. Yeah. So it's going to be fun new content and yeah, very visually focused. We're planning on putting entire audiobooks up there someday. We're planning on putting up samples to our cinematic audio and samples just to our other audiobooks. So it's a cool spot, so definitely go check that out. Cold open with an animation by the incredible Ernest Rivera. Ernest is an animator who I've been working with for the past few years, and I absolutely love working with him. I'm a little bit lower energy today. Just kind of, just a little bit tired. I think I need a good sleep tonight, but I'm sure I'll wake up eventually. Give me things to wake me up. Say something in the chat. Let me know you're here. I would love to see your faces if your faces, multiple faces. You have multiple faces. Yeah, okay. So I'm narrating this morning. Oh, there you are. Hello, Chris. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for saying hello. Let's see. Morning, JTJ. Pepperoni-san says, hey, well, thank you for saying hello as well. Yeah, just one of those days where, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit run down and ragged. But maybe getting into a little bit of Herald dialogue will wake me up. So the thing about narrating is you got to do your best to be at, high energy, but whoa, sometimes it's tough, but you got to narrate. You got to narrate. Boop, boop, boo. And the morning is the best time to be narrating. At least for me, my voice is nice and rich and deep in the morning, and it's just really easy to hit those lower tones. Ross K. Hello, Ross. Ross says, I'd take tired in bed with influenza A and all the joy it brings. Oh, my goodness. I sense a little bit of sarcasm there. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with influenza. That sucks. The flu. Are you dealing with chills and fever and all that stuff? I imagine. Oh, that's really too bad. All right. Excuse me. I think there's going to be a lot of coughing this morning, so apologies to all you listeners out there that probably don't want to hear me hacking up a lung. Yeah, so I'm going to be chatting for the next 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to jump into the script, and once I'm in, I'm going to be pretty in. I'm not going to be looking at the chat all too often. So if you have any questions for me, any, thoughts or suggestions or questions, what are you listening to, just share that in the chat. Let's see what's up. Yep, feels like I've been hit by a car. Oof. Yeah, I know that feeling. I dealt with something a few months back that was, I think it was just like a 24-hour bug, or just last month actually. And just it was one day, fortunately, it wasn't longer. But I was just completely floored, just flattened. So I'm sorry you're going through that. What are you doing to keep yourself entertained? Besides, I guess, watching this stream right now. Hmm. Do. All right. Yeah, 4 more minutes till I go live. What else can I say? I mean, obviously, like and subscribe, all of that stuff. What do you guys want? What do you guys want to see? That's what I want to know. Hey, False Positron. Hello again. Watching some movies. Oh, nice. Okay. At least that's fun. Kyle Strickland is here. Whoop whoop. Get to listen to this while being awake still. Hey, that's good. That's good. Yeah, what do you guys want to see? With Sound Booth, we're very audio people, but we're always looking for ways to connect with the audience and, create content that you guys like. So, like, if you have any suggestions of what you want to see us doing, um, but I'm happy to take those suggestions. It's very helpful for us. We want our YouTube channel to be a place that, is fun for you guys, that you actually, enjoy. I was thinking this morning, so I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've been kind of plastering it everywhere. We hired an animator, and you'll see it again. We hired an animator to do like an opening sequence. The guy is so talented. His name's Ernest, and he comes with he makes these animations, and I send him like, hey, I want this, and this, and he makes it happen, and he makes it look good. So I was thinking this morning that it would be fun. Like, I keep on posting this video around, and it's just an opening sequence. There isn't a plot or anything like that. It's just Harold and the Limpet and Alex and Fang Fang just walking and going through different landscapes. And I thought it would be kind of fun, and I've been kind of, selling it as an opening sequence, and I'm using it for the cold reads here. But I'm thinking, like, maybe there's room in the budget to actually make little animated shorts, like, a little 5-minute story. We've already got the sprites, we could have Harold having a little scene with Alex, maybe even from the book. I'm sure Ravensdagger would be able to write a little script for us, and then obviously we've got the voice actors, and we could throw some music onto it, and then boom, we got ourselves a little short with an opening sequence already. So yeah, I'm kind of, thinking about that. That would be a lot of fun. I would love to do little animations set in these worlds that we're narrating and you guys are listening to, and our authors are writing. Book 3 already? Feels like only a month or two ago you were reading book 1. Dirk Gently. Yeah, hello. Yeah, it does. It was last year that Dead Tired 1 came out, I think. Just pretty much a year and a month. So yeah, it's already here. Thor Ragnarok, you've been watching, Ross K, and been a long time since I've watched that one. Yeah, I would like to watch that one again. Thor Ragnarok. I think it's Ragnarok. That's the one with where Thor fights the Hulk in the arena. I think that's that one. Corgi Butt Bread. Love the name, by the way. So I'm new here and new to audiobooks, but I'm looking to break into the scene. Any advice for a beginner? I have a similar voice profile to yours. Oh, right on. Hey, too new to audiobook narration. Yeah, I figured that's what you were asking. Yeah, I mean, listen to audiobooks. That's one that is always good. I'm sure you do if you're thinking about this as a career path. And yeah, don't wait for a job to narrate. Find short stories that you like. Find content. Reach out to authors that you admire that have, like, content like on their website that hasn't been narrated yet, and just narrate it, practice. Even stuff that is, stuff that's in the public domain, stuff that's not in the public domain. You don't have to post any of it. Just narrate, just get in the booth and start telling stories. And yeah, I think a lot of narrators or voice actors in general get kind of paralyzed because they're like, okay, well, I need practice, but the only way I can get practice is by getting a job. I need a job, like I need a gig, so I need to get a gig before I can practice. And then there's this weird sort of like, I need experience before I can get a job, but I need a job so that I can get experience. Don't worry about getting paid. Just narrate every day. Just like, what they say to authors when they want to start writing, just write every day. I have tried to write, and it paralyzes me. So I've kind of realized that writing maybe isn't for me. I'm more of the, narrator, producer type that, yeah, and I'm starting to accept, like, okay, maybe writing, I'll leave it to other people, and I'll work with them. But yeah, but try it, and try to narrate longer things as well, because that's the big challenge. Audiobook narration is the endurance race of voiceover. So definitely pay attention to how you feel when you are narrating like 100,000 word book, right? Get into it. False Positron says, still working from home, but listening to me is an awesome background, quote unquote, noise. Well, I'm happy to provide noise to you right now. Nice, awesome noise. Kyle says, I need to watch Robin Hood Men in Tights or Princess Bride again soon. Yes, you do. I do too, actually, and I didn't realize that. Hey, if you're watching this video, do me a big favor and give yourself a hug. Just give yourself a nice big hug. Just love on yourself, just say, hey, I'm doing all right. I may have the flu, but I'm giving myself the rest I need and watching entertaining content. That's it. You thought I was going to say like this video. You thought I was going to say that, but I didn't. Subverted expectations. That's what we do here. We're all about surprise at Sound Booth Theater. Yes, that is Hulk in the Arena. Rallo90, glad I tuned in yesterday. Started book 1 this morning and loving it. Hey, that's great to hear. Thank you so much, Rallo, for checking it out. Really appreciate that, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. It is a really fun book. I truly find this series to be a breath of fresh air. Corgi butt bread. I hope you go by that as your narrator name. This is Pride and Prejudice by whoever wrote Pride and Prejudice. I feel terrible that I've forgotten that. Not Agatha Christie. It's the other one. Margaret something Atwood. Narrated by Corgi Buttbread. It's got a ring to it. I think it could work. And yeah, you feel stuck in that loop a little. Yeah, just forget about getting paid. Just forget about the money. Just start narrating, and the money will come. And if you narrate things that you're allowed to put up on YouTube, like things in the public domain, that's great, because then you can reach out to publishers and be like, hey, I did this thing. Hey, I did this thing. Hey, I did this thing. And yeah, then they'll give you more of a shot than if you're just like, hey, I need work, I need experience, can you hire me so that I can get experience? And nah, they want to know that you've cut your teeth on it already. So anyways, that is I think enough for our question and answer sequence. Go ahead and ask questions in the chat. I am going to kind of keep an eye on it while I'm narrating. Wow, it makes a difference. So when I'm standing normally, like sometimes my posture's not as good as it could be, but when I start getting into narrator mode, I think about my shoulders going back, my head back a little bit, not too far. And actually I bend my knees a little bit and try to relax my pelvis so that there's this sort of grounded sort of gravity pulling me downwards. I mean, that's what gravity does, I guess, but just this relaxed weight. Um, and as I get into character, that starts to change. So I try to keep on reminding myself to settle in. Okay, so I'm about to get into this. I'm going to go get myself some more water. And while I'm away, I'm actually going to go ahead and play that animation that I've been telling you guys about. This is the opening sequence for Dead Tired if it was an animated series. And who knows? Maybe it will be one day. All right. Here you go. Enjoy this. And when I come back, Dead Tired 3. All right, I'm back and I'm pulling up the script here. Now pulling up my Ableton set. Yesterday morning, I actually got through a good chunk of narration, which felt really, really good. I'm gonna just close this. A little bit of extra sound dampening. There we go. All right. Boop, 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 boop. All right, I'm going to go ahead and screen share. You guys don't need to see the cover art. I'll show you guys, especially since we've got an aspiring narrator here, I'll show you guys the sound booth theater process a little bit. So let me, media assets, hide, there we go. Okay, so this is a program or a DAW called Ableton Live. And we at Sound Booth Theater love to go against the grain. This is not industry standard in any way. Ableton Live is designed for DJs mostly. A lot of DJs and new age, like hip hop artists use Ableton Live, but so do we for some reason. And so we use it. We started out using it, me and Jeff, like without even really realizing that we're using the same program to make our audiobooks. And then when we came together, it was kind of a perfect storm because he was like, yeah, I'm kind of weird. I use Ableton Live. I was like, no freaking way. So do I. So, yeah, long story short, we use Ableton Live. Something you'll notice while I'm narrating here, and maybe I definitely don't need that bass boost. You'll see how we've got all these tracks on the side. I'm going to ungroup these because they're kind of getting in the way. Mantis Queen I'll keep. Gary actually can ungroup. Gary I can move lower because he's not going to be too active in this production. I'm just setting up my tracks so that they're a bit more, they make a bit more sense for who's talking when, because I don't want to be constantly scrolling down to get to see the character that I'm actually voicing. If only I could, oh, okay, I can bring that down a little bit. There we go. So, something that makes us unique is that, Sound Booth Theater, that is that we narrate into multiple tracks. Most narrator videos that you'll see is a narrator speaking into one track and then, making, whenever they make a mistake, they'll clap or, whatever. But it'll look something like this, a narrator. Whereas for us, we like to keep our narration and our dialogue separated, because if you're narrating, if you have the dialogue separated out from the narrator, a few things happen. First, you can see if I, made a mistake and I needed to find, a particular line of dialogue that I, spoke wrongly. Speaking wrongly is a thing today for me. I can quickly see, okay, well, these are all of my lines of dialogue. So I can very quickly, at a glance, see, okay, maybe it's this one. I think it's maybe, closer to the end of the chapter, so I can go there. And then the other reason is because we like to do lots of voice effects. We like to make characters sound like they're in the space that they're in. So if all the characters are in a cave, well, we're going to have reverb on just the dialogue so that it sounds like they're in a cave. But we don't want the narrator to sound like they're in a cave. And if we had everything in one track, we would have to do a lot of work to make sure that we have the right, it's called automation. We'd have to make sure that we are automating the plugins on and on to, like, okay, cave effect off for the narration. Okay, cave effect on, cave effect off for the narration. So this kind of creates like a sweeping thing where, all of the dialogue we've got, it's set a particular way. If it's like a monster voice, they're going to sound a particular way. These monster, they're always going to sound like the monster. So for instance, here we've got this Mantis Queen track where the Mantis Queen is always going to sound like the Mantis Queen. So whenever I record something into her track, it's going to automatically use that plugin. I don't have to worry about turning it on and turning it off like I would if it was all in one track. The spell is another example here, where this is where Harold will, cast a spell, prestidigitation, and it'll create an effect. So yeah, we keep it like that. All right. So let's jump in. We are starting on chapter 6 today. And quickly to recap, if I can, Harold has separated from the Limpet, who is currently looking over a city that they've taken over. And she has, she's the governing body of the city and kind of flying in the face of the Emperor here. Now, in this scene, Harold has separated, though, from the Limpet. Limpet's off doing her own thing. Harold is traveling with a few of his companions, but also with a woman named Cinder. And Cinder belongs to the Ashen Forest sect, which is, a kind of like a Eastern philosophy house that you see in like cultivation, where everybody's trying to manifest their chi and be more powerful or whatever. The Ashen Forest sect is one of those. There's lots of different Flaming Fist sect and blah blah blah. So anyways, she's a part of that, pretty powerful, but still nothing compared to Harold. And she has realized just how powerful Harold is, and she wants to ally with him essentially. And so she's bringing him to the Ashen Forest to meet her people and then hopefully gain his favor. But she's very nervous around him because he's so powerful, but he's also just so affable that it's kind of a funny, dynamic where she's nervous, but he's just like, oh, okay, what's that thing? I'm curious about that over there. What about this? And so it's been a lot of, her explaining what is, some lore about the Ashen Forest. What are some of the monsters? What are some of the things they deal with? They have a lot of ash from, local volcanoes. So how do they deal with that? It's a very world-building conversation so far. All right. Let's jump into this. There we go. All right. So, I'm going to have to get into character here. So Harold has a very kind of nasal voice. It's quite the sound. My breath is resonating on my tone rather, is resonating on the top of my palate, the roof of my mouth. It's just going kind of straight up there. And so he also enunciates and articulates because he doesn't have any lips. He's basically talking like he doesn't have any lips, like he's constantly smiling because he's a skeleton, right? Anyways, that's kind of Harold's voice. Now, I have to make sure that I'm supporting myself from my diaphragm here because it could be really easy to strain my voice. And it is actually tiring to talk like this, believe it or not. It's actually very tiring on my tongue because I have to really pull my tongue back in order to make it so that the air shoots straight up. But once I'm in it, it's pretty easy. Boom, boom, boom. All right. And he's also a very, I wouldn't say loving necessarily person, but there's a warmth to him. There's a warmth in his honesty and neutrality, where there's no preconceptions. If you're a jerk, he's probably going to just not want to deal with you, but he's dealt with many, many a jerk in the past. So even then, you don't really have to worry too much. But just try not to be a jerk. That's his thing. Actually, no, that's not his thing. His thing is more just don't get out of his way when it comes to him learning knowledge. Learning new things. Gaining knowledge. All right, let's do this. Chapter 6. Elite Elders. Cinder made it quite clear to me that this wasn't the Ashen Forest sect. Rather, the large pavilion we stopped before was the political seat. of the sect. It was where the sect exerted its power over Shiitake City, and from where it could deploy cultivators to aid and defend the city in case of trouble. The sect itself was deeper within the forest, likely well hidden and shielded from prying eyes. So, are we meeting with anyone in particular here? I asked. Yes, Cinder said. Believe it or not, I'm well ranked within the sect. I'm not one of the elders, but, well, we have few elders and few members near the higher ends of their cultivation journeys. The Ashen Forest sect is quite small to begin with, and few recruits even make it to the outer sect. I see. And I presume that means that despite your relative youth, you're well regarded within the sect. I am, Cinder confirmed. Unlike many sects, our command structure isn't rigid. We do not kowtow to every elder and force outer disciples to kiss the shoes of core members. There's no time for that. So one thing you'll notice while I'm narrating here is that I am recording these placeholders. So I'm recording, Cinder's lines in a separate track. This is DS. And the reason that and I'll make mistakes. I'll make mistakes while I'm doing this, and probably it's not the best read or whatever, but that's okay because this is just a placeholder. This is another one of the benefits of recording dialogue in separate tracks, is that it makes it really easy for us to send this to another actor and for them to pick it up and see like, oh, okay, I'm Dory. These are all of my lines. This is where all of my lines are, so it's easy for her to jump and record over those. So if you hear me make mistakes, don't worry about it on a placeholder. There's no time for that. I nodded along. Uniformity and rigidity of that sort was often a consequence of having an organization grow to the size where it became impossible. All right, that's a run-on.
Uniformity and rigidity of that sort was often a consequence of having an organization. Uniformity and rigidity of that sort was often a consequence of having an organization grow to the size where it became impossible to maintain personal connections with every member. An army needed everyone to respect the ranks of those. An army needed everyone to respect the ranks of those above them, because at any moment that person might have to relay orders without those big... An army needed everyone to respect the ranks of those above them, because at any moment that person might have to relay orders without those below coming to know them. My undead armies had similar systems in place. Or perhaps the systems I had were even more rigid. After all, I couldn't rely on the intelligence of the average undead fodder. They needed to be able to follow the precise orders of the command units seated within the army without question or hesitation. An organization made up of strong-willed sentients would need a little more flexibility, but the same principles were in play. An organization made up of strong-willed sentients would need a little more flexibility, but the same principles were in play. Cinder continued, unaware of my thoughts. Here, every member's contribution matters, regardless of rank. We're too few to do otherwise, but that also gives us a certain sense of unity and makes us mighty. We can afford to put more effort into the education of each new member. That sounded very good. Something told me it wasn't the full story, however. There was something else going on, and I didn't want to be taken in by Cinder's pretty words and bright, hopeful-sounding idealism. I tried to keep myself constantly aware that I was not immune to propaganda. We approached the entrance of the pavilion. 2 guards, recognizing Cinder, nodded in respect and opened. 2 guards, recognizing Cinder, nodded in respect and opened the doors for us. Alex would be staying with the carriage, and that meant someone was keeping an eye on Rem as well. The moment we were through, the administrators and city servants that had come out to greet us broke apart. It was always amusing to see such pageantry fall apart the moment the one it was meant to impress was no longer on the scene. The interior of the Ashen Pavilion radiated power. It wasn't just the luxurious wooden pillars carved with small figures or the grand statues. It wasn't just the luxurious wooden pillars carved with small statues. It wasn't just the luxurious wooden pillars carved with small figures or the grand statues of the cultivators meditating. There was magic in the air here, faint but noticeable. Unlike the servants and administrators that met us outside, within the pavilion, those who had come to greet us were a much smaller, more... Unlike the servants and administrators. So one thing that I stand when I'm narrating, and one thing that happens is that if I'm too far from the back, I'm like reaching like this. And imagine trying to tell a story like you're like a zombie, your arms are outstretched like this. So I actually should be moving in closer. There we go. So that my arms can be relaxed, my elbows can be more at like 90 degrees. So I'm too far. I'm working too much. So gotta catch that. Unlike the servants and administrators that met us outside, within the pavilion, those who had come to greet us were a much smaller, more elite group. There were 3 of them, and all 3 were clearly cultivators. A young man, Cinder's junior, was to the far left. Then an older woman, though the only signs of her age were her stooped back and the long white hair framing her masked face, as well as the carefully carved cane she was gripping. Finally, another man. This one around Cinder's own age, at a guess. He was sitting upon a wheeled chair. It looked very much as though he had become one with the chair. A device on the chair's side, like a small bellow, was pumping air into a pair of tubes leading into the man's mask. What I could see of his face was covered in scarring. And he seemed emaciated, but his eyes locked onto me with a ferocious intelligence, and I chose not to underestimate the young cultivator.
Who would I get for this? So, here's a choice I can make. So Frost is an elder here. I'm just going to see how many words she has. So, 57 lines. All right, maybe I can cast Andrea there. Oh, I just need a new track. And I chose not to underestimate the young cultivator. Cinder, the older woman said. I have been worried. It gladdens me more than you could know to see you returned.
Hello, Elder Frost, Cinder replied with a bow. Brothers, before anything, let me introduce a companion I made along the way. This is Harold, the necromancer. The elder's eyes scanned over to me, and I could feel her assessing me with her gaze. You're not what you seem, she said. Few things ever are, but in this case, you're more right than you'd think. I said, I don't sense anything. I don't sense anything, the younger man said. A civilian, Sister Cinder? If you feel more comfortable, you can remove your disguise, Cinder said to me. The suggestion was open, but it felt like she wanted to present me as I truly was. I wasn't sure if I would... The suggestion was open, but it felt like she wanted me to present me as I truly was. I wasn't sure if I should be flattered by that or not, but I acquiesced nonetheless. My illusions flickered away, and I was once more, to all appearances, a proper gentleman lich. The younger cultivator took a step back, then he pressed a hand over his mouth. A civilian, Sister Cinder? If you feel more...
Sister, that is an undead! The very same the Imperial Palace warned us about! The very same the Imperial Palace warned us about!
Did you spit blood, Brother Char? Cinder asked. Have you been pushing yourself too hard again? Soot, You said you would watch over your brother." Soot, the young man in the wheelchair, raised his arms feebly. "I did. He insisted on moving faster than he ought, and I let him suffer from his own hubris a little. You know how Char can be." Yes, but I still worry," Cinder said casually. The way she was speaking downplayed the moment quite a bit, turning it all into a simple conversation between close friends. It was well played, at least when it came to reassuring Char and the elder, who hadn't taken her eyes off of me yet. "Welcome, guest," Elder Frost said. "It does these old bones good to see that the Ashen Forest is making friends still." To see that the Ashen Forest is making friends still. "And these older bones are quite glad to be counted amongst your friends," I replied. The woman chuckled darkly. "Yes, I suppose I'll have to get used to not being the eldest elder, Cinder, guest, should we retire to more comfortable rooms?" "Of course, Elder Frost," Cinder replied. "But first, a brief word, if I may." The older woman nodded, her piercing gaze never leaving my skeletal visage. Cinder stepped forward, her heels clicking against the ornate flooring. "But first, a brief word, if I may." The older woman nodded, her piercing gaze never leaving my While Harold is indeed the undead the Imperial Palace warned about, he is not our enemy. In our journey together, he has been nothing but kind and polite, and he has expressed interest in understanding our sect and potentially forming an alliance. I believe he can be a valuable ally, given the looming threats we face." Char, still visibly shaken, hesitated before speaking.
"The very same the Imperial Palace warned us about. But Sister Cinder, allying ourselves with someone the Imperial Palace warns us about? That is risky."
Soot, still sharp and assessing, was the first to respond.
"Everything in life is a risk. Everything in life is a risk. Everything in life is a risk, Brother Char. Sometimes, to gain new strengths and insights, we must be willing to step out of our comfort zone. Let's hear him and Sister Cinder out."
Elder Frost finally broke her gaze from me and turned to Cinder. They stared at each other for a moment, and I felt like I was missing an entire conversation given in twitches and glances. They stared at each other for a moment, and I felt like I was missing an entire conversation given in twitches and glances. Finally, she nodded. "Let's retire to my chambers. The view is much nicer, and I can have warm tea brought up." Fine guest. I'm unfamiliar with your dietary needs." She asked the last casually while walking towards the far end of the room already. Her cane echoed the faint shuffling of her feet. "Mostly nothing," I replied truthfully. The steps at the rear of the pavilion were navigated with grace and aplomb. There were little tracks built into the staircase, and Soot locked his chair into them before rolling his way up, something which no doubt would require enormous strength to manage. Something which no doubt would require. There were little tracks built into the staircase, and Soot. There were little tracks built into the staircase, and Soot locked his chair into them before rolling his way up, something which no doubt would require enormous strength to manage. We've been looking into purchasing a flying sword for Brother Soot for years now, Cinder admitted to me as we walked. That would be quite clever. Those are expensive, I take it. Very, very, very much so, yes. Finally, we arrived at the topmost floor of the pavilion and entered a room surrounded by windows overlooking Shiitake and its surroundings. There were cushions strewn about, and a few small cases of unknown purpose. The elder sat upon one of the cushions facing me, then laid her cane across her lap. "Now," she began, "tell us, Harold the Necromancer, what brings you to our sect?" I took a deep, yet unnecessary breath. "I'm here because Cinder was quite polite, but truthfully, I intend to retake something of mine, and I suppose some company along the way wouldn't be amiss." "I'm here because Cinder was quite polite, but truthfully, I intend to retake something of mine, and I suppose some company along the way wouldn't be amiss." "I intend to retake something of mine. And I suppose some company along the way wouldn't be amiss."
All right, there we go. That is the end of chapter 6. Moving on to chapter 7. All right, how's everybody doing? How are we doing here? Nice. Quick check-in, you guys. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you enjoying yourselves? Is everything sounding all right? Are you listening to the story, or are you just kind of, experiencing my voice? Either way is fine. Obviously, I won't tell you how to listen to me. You must listen engaged and rapt intentionally, and you must also like and subscribe to video. And you must also leave comment once every 30 seconds to make me feel like I'm special, and make me feel like you care about me, because that is your purpose to me, a YouTube star, is to feel special through the energies of others. That is what I'm here for. I don't know why I went German. Speaking of German, I'm thinking about buying a Volkswagen Atlas, because I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", 6'6" on a good day, and I'm quite tall. I'm currently driving a little 2013 Honda Civic, and it's nice. It's fine. It's served me very well, but I ain't getting any shorter, and I guess the Civic's not getting any bigger. So I've been looking into the Volkswagen Atlas. So if anybody has a Volkswagen Atlas, please let me know if you like it, or tell me to steer clear, and I'll go buy it anyways, because I think I've got my heart set on it. Yeah, it's just a very nice looking. Like there's something about the aesthetic as well. Not only is it bigger, but I just like the look of it. There's something about just the way it's shaped, the grill, the front of it. It's nicer even than the Taos or the Tiguan or the Touareg. All these weird names for SUVs. But yeah, if anybody is familiar with that car, I'd love to hear your perspective on it. But if not, no worries. All right, well, we got a quiet crew today. That's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with being a little bit quieter. Probably people working, got me on in the background, doing their thing. That is totally cool. Well then, I think I'll just jump back to it. All right, let me just check some audio things, make sure that you guys are able to hear a little bit of playback. Oh yeah, you guys can hear playback. Perfect. Good stuff. Moving on to chapter 7 then. Oh, and actually, let me get rid of this.
Chapter 7. Grave Grins. The crux of the matter is simple, I said. Some time ago, a very long time ago, I created a set of very powerful items. Recently, I discovered that some of these were being misused by this new crop of gods, and I don't doubt that some cultivators are tinkering with my things as well. Misused by this new crop of gods, and I don't doubt that some cultivators are tinkering with my things as well. Soot leaned forward. He was the only one of us not seated on a cushion because of his wheeled chair. It gave him a height advantage that I wasn't certain wasn't entirely common for him. "What do these items look like?" he asked. "Oh, no two are quite the same. Though they do share some common characteristics. Most are about the size of an adult human skull, mostly round with differing ornamentation. Otherwise, material compositions differ enough. Most are about the size of an adult human skull, mostly round with differing ornamentation. Otherwise, material compositions differ enough that the similarities become harder to trace. There's a lot of crystal, precious metals, gems, anything and everything that can be used as a solid, long-term magical focus." "They're all magical?" Cinder asked. "Very much so, which is why I suspect so many of them were nicked by gods and cultivators," I said. The elder, Frost, nodded her head slowly. "A powerful artifact, especially an ancient one, would be very attractive to most cultivators. One that they cannot understand even more so, and one which exudes power. That would be quite the temptation indeed." I nodded along. To be entirely honest, I could respect the odd, inquisitive mind that ran into one of my phylacteries and tried to uncover its secrets. A younger me would certainly have been intrigued by the prospect. A younger me would certainly have been intrigued by the prospect. I don't begrudge anyone using one of my, items. I merely wish to retrieve them before any harm can be done, and to do that, I would appreciate the help of your sect. I suspect that we're actually after very similar things at the moment." "What do you mean?" Char asked. "The nearest phylactery to our current position is to the west of here, somewhere within those rather active mountains. "The lair of the Mantis Queen," Soot said. Cinder shifted on her cushion, the small gesture enough to catch the attention of the others. "We have a common adversary. We will gladly aid you in your quest to defeat her, though we have no successful experience against the Mantis Queen. She has killed many, and we can only offer our experience and expertise in facing her." "You offer our guest much, disciple," Elder Frost said. She shifted so that her white hair hung over her eyes, masking her expression. "I offer as much as he needs. Harold is powerful, allying—" Oopsie. What the heck? There we go. "Harold is powerful. Allying ourselves to him, at least for this cause, is a risk, but if it succeeds—" Soot leaned to the side on his chair. I, for one, wouldn't mind seeing the Mantis Queen brought low, but I'm entirely biased and willing to admit it." I nodded. The Mantis people were not only the farthest thing this world had from a proper civilization, they were also a major source of problems for the people living in Shiitake City, not least because their queen liked to eat people. Elder Frost leaned back, and the others turned their attention to her. A few seconds later, I realized she was waiting for me to say something. I cleared my throat. It felt silly, since we weren't really negotiating anything, but I couldn't help but feel a little flustered. At all the attention. Usually there was a bit more, well, a certain degree of formality. Either that, or derision and casual disrespect. I hadn't yet met enough cultivators to make an accurate statement on them. After all, the few meetings I had were far from numerous enough to count as a sample usable in any form of statistics. Still, so far, most meetings with cultivators had them acting in a way that I found rather rude and abrasive. Cultural differences aside, I suspected that cultivators harbored a death wish with the way they interacted with everyone. Cultural differences aside, I suspected that cultivators harbored a death wish with the way they interacted with everyone. Cinder's sect seemed entirely counter to that, and I wondered if they were the exception that proved the rule, or if they were just bizarre. I intend to retrieve my phylactery regardless of any assistance, but if you suspect that you can assist me, then perhaps we could make this a mutually beneficial arrangement. You will find no better suited to guiding someone towards the Mantis Queen's mountain than us, Elder Frost said with a tap of her cane into her open palm. But we very rarely venture so close to her home. Her children reside within the shadows of the mountain, and there are few hunters more patient and more skilled than they. I understand. I'm not currently worried about them. Cinder sat up a little. Elder, might I make a proposition? Elder Frost gestured, and Cinder continued. Sir Harold, I suspect that if anyone could defeat the Mantis Queen, it would be you. The Mantis Queen has proven to be the dire enemy of this sect and of this entire region. If you help us defeat her, then the Ashen Forest would be in your debt. We would do all in our power to help you regain your phylactery. Yes, yes, yes. We would help you find it and others like it, and perhaps assist your endeavors to the east. The defeat of Hungering Inferno leaves a vacuum that needs to be filled. I'm certain your General Limpet is up to the task, but with our assistance, it would be done quicker. It was always like this, or rather, in broad strokes. It was always like this, or rather, in broad strokes, there were two ways that this could go. Once someone had amassed sufficient power, either more would be given to them, or someone would try to wrest it away. Usually both happened simultaneously. This, of course, didn't merely apply to magical power. In fact, it was significantly more common with the kinds of power that had a more political bent. At the moment, I supposed I was technically the ruler of Yuzhang. It wasn't a great jewel of a city, but its split from the Jade Empire would be noticed. With this move, I would essentially gain Shiitake City's allegiance as well. With this move, I would essentially gain Shiitake City's allegiance as well, without doing any of the work. To some, this would be a great boon, more power freely given. I had fallen for the trap myself once. It didn't take long for me to discover that with great power came unfortunate levels of responsibility, nagging bureaucrats, tax issues, and a host of other headaches. I was still tempted. At the moment, the Limpet was the technical leader of everything. The problems would be... I was still tempted. At the moment, the Limpet was the technical leader of everything. The problems would be hers, wouldn't they? Being the power behind the throne seemed significantly more pleasant. Very well, I said. I will retrieve my phylactery. In exchange for assistance in guiding me to it and giving me all the information you have on this Mantis Queen, I will be folding the Ashen Forest into the territories of... Name pending.
Name pending?
Char asked. Yes, for now. The cultivators glanced at each other, at least until Soot spoke up.
So, we'll help you, and in exchange, you take over the sect?
No, in exchange, the sect folds itself into name pending. That includes the governance of this city and territory. Of course, it goes without saying that I can't allow a foreign godlike entity to ravage lands ostensibly under my control, so she will have to go.
Go?
Char asked. Clearly he liked repeating the last word of any statement I made. Die? Perish? Extinguish her light? Pass her away? Succumb? Though, I suppose she is insectile, so... Squash? Crush? Exterminate? Cinder added. Ah, yes, zap, flatten, smack, I continued.
I got it,
Char said, sounding a bit sour about it, though really Char said, sounding a bit sour about it, though really he'd brought this on himself. In any case, that's my offer. The removal, relocation, or extermination of some minor godling in exchange for... Oh, I'm sure I can draw up an appropriately worded contract that we'll all be happy with. The room grew deathly quiet as the members of the sect took in the offer. Finally, Soot broke the silence.
I think the proposal warrants some serious discussion, he said. Some of our elders are in closed-door cultivation, Elder Frost said, but they'll need to weigh in on this.
I think this is important enough to warrant the interruption, Cinder replied. We have faced the Mantis Queen for decades. The threat she poses to our people and our city is immeasurable. If we can eliminate her once and for all, it could change the fate of our region. Joining forces with the undead would do the same. Elder Frost eyed me for a good long while. We shall consider this gravely, Mr. Harold the Necromancer. Gravely indeed. I grinned the sort of grin only a skeleton could grin. I do feel like grave considerations are a specialty of my craft, I said. In any case, I look forward to cooperating with you. In any case, I look forward to cooperating with you. I do feel like grave considerations are a specialty of my craft, I said. In any case, I look forward to cooperating with you. I said. In any case, I look forward to cooperating with you. In any case, I look forward to cooperating with you.
All right, there we go. That's the end of Chapter 7. It's coming together, you guys. There we go. All right. Dun 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 dun. All right. Well, how's everybody doing? Hey, we got a few new joiners. Thank you for swinging by and saying hello, or, well, not saying hello, I guess, but being here. If you haven't said hello, say hello. Say hello. I bite, but you'll like it. Just kidding. I don't bite. It's not sanitary. Yeah, it's been a good morning so far. Definitely not getting through as much as I did yesterday. I guess I'm feeling a bit more conversational than yesterday. Yesterday was like, boom, let's go, let's narrate, let's do the thing. And now today it's like, yeah, let's talk about life, let's talk about stuff. So in between chapters I've been taking breaks, but when I'm actually narrating, I'm just flying through this. Because it's such a smooth and pleasant read. It's just so easy to get lost, just to get kind of taken in by the world, you know, the world that Ravensdagger has made here. So, yeah, I'm very excited. I'm going to just take a quick little social media check-in break, but while I'm gone, I'm going to go ahead and play that opening sequence again, because why the heck not? Why don't I play it like, 4 or 5 times, every stream? Because, hey, some people tune in and, some people tune in like halfway through and they don't see it, and it's really cool, and I'm really excited about it, so I want as many people to see it as possible. So here is the Dead Tired intro that was animated by a fantastic pixel animator named Ernest Rivera. Here you go, you guys. All right, all right, all right. Do 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 do. So I posted that video to Reddit, and I asked like, "Hey, would you watch this show? Would you watch this show if it was like a Saturday morning cartoon?" And most of the comments have been like, "Oh my God, yeah, this is great. I love it." Blah 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 blah. And then, oh my goodness, so many people have been talking, and I guess my chat hasn't been updating. Oh shoot, that's weird. Yeah, sorry, I've got lots of catch up to do. But then one person commented back to my story, and they were like, "No." I love it. Love it. That's the beauty of Reddit, right? People say what they really mean, you know? Okay, so where was I in the conversation? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, okay, so we're way up here. I thought it was quiet. Like I thought it was quiet in the chat, but I guess not. Glad I tuned in yesterday. Okay. Yeah, paralysis stage, group sessions always have tech issues. No, that's not why. I don't think so. Okay, so you're training yourself in Reaper. Love you all. Okay, all right. Yeah, feel stuck in that loop. Right back to you. Love you. Love you too, false positron. That's awesome. Currently training yourself on Reaper. That's great. You have access to a copy of Ableton. Is it something I should get more familiar with? Yeah, if you want to. Though we do have someone on the team who is a really, really cool guy and very, very talented, and he has been suggesting that we look into Reaper as well. Probably won't be for many, many, well, just a few years before we decide to switch over, if we ever do decide to switch over. But yeah, we're looking into Reaper as well as an option. But Ableton, you know, is definitely a good DAW to know. And you know, at Sound Booth Theater, like this is a requirement for our narrators to know Ableton. So that's something to consider as well. We're actually thinking about making a course, a free course actually, just making it available on our YouTube channel and just showing people how to do things our way. I don't know why, but it feels right to offer that for free and not make it be something that is like monetized. I don't know why that just somehow feels right. I don't know. I don't know. I just love the energy. Like, sure, making money is great, but I prefer the energy of being able to offer something to the community and people, like a whole wave of people learning how to produce audiobooks or audio through the Sound Booth Theater method. There's like a kind of legacy there that I really like that isn't about making money. It's just about telling stories and recording and sharing those stories with others. So I think we've got a really interesting perspective that yeah, it could be cool for you know, people to take up. And then also like there is the benefit of being able to bring in like more actors, because one of the most challenging things is teaching narrators how to work within our system. And and so if we had like a free course available, then people could like up their skills and develop the necessary skills and practice them before even applying, and we don't have to worry about training them, you know, after the fact, at least on the basics. So yeah, that's something that we're considering. Is that why the group sessions always have tech issues at the start? Oh my God, those group sessions are brutal. No, we have tech issues at the start because we're trying to do too much. Audio Movers is a finicky program to begin with, and it's consistent, but it's consistently finicky. So we have to be really, really on top of our game. And also like the actors, every actor is coming in with a different system. And so we weren't actually sitting down with the actors and making sure that everything was set up properly beforehand. And so we'd get like a new actor and we'd get everything worked out with one actor, and then we would get in with another actor and everything's slightly different. And so we have to figure out, oh, they're on a Mac, oh, they're on a PC, oh, they've got this routing software that's messing things up or whatever. It's just, yeah, we kind of, me and Jeff, we're very much like people who just throw ourselves in and we're just like, we'll figure it out. And that comes with consequences, right? So, yeah, that's why there's tech issues at the start, is because Jeff, me, and Ahmed actually, but Ahmed's a wizard, so he'll figure things out quickly. But we're just throw it at the wall until it sticks sort of people. I think, by and large. I wish more narrators went to your level. It's getting harder to listen to other productions. Keep up the great work. Hey, that's what we're trying to do. Well, I think there's always going to be a place for the solitary narrator. But I think it's also like when you're a solitary narrator, like you gotta be good. You gotta be really, really, really good. And there's always going to be a place for the narrator that is, okay, and people are going to like it. People are going to like their voice and they're going to be able to connect. But, um, you know, we think it's important to push the envelope and push the boundaries of what an audiobook can be and really explore that. And you can do that as a solo narrator. Obviously people like Travis Baldry or Nick Podell, like they're, you know, complete artists in the way they break down character. Oh, Robin Miles, she's one of my favorites. Like just like the depth that they bring to the characters and they express, like that's just pure art. It's pure humanity that they're able to express into their audiobooks. And that's something that can be deepened. We just happen to be deepening. We try to deepen that too, but we also try to deepen the production elements. How can we make the quality as good as possible? What systems can we adopt in order to make the character voices maybe sound a bit more colorful or animated or animated literally. Like we want to make it sound like an animation. We want to make this book sound like a cartoon. What's the tone? You can't do that just, with the classic narration. You can kind of evoke a sense, which is a really, skilled art. We're just kind of going down a different road there. Different avenues of excellence. Corgi Buttbread asks, as someone aspiring to get into this craft, is something like multi-track narration something I should do my best to start a habit of, or is that not really industry standard? It's definitely not industry standard, and you should definitely start making a habit of it. Why? Because it makes you more flexible. It makes you more flexible. I narrate all of my projects in multiple tracks. I did that even before sound booth theater. I just found it easier to do, like, if you ever have to do pickups, you're going to have to do pickups as a narrator. It's just it's just an eventuality. It's a commonality. At every project, you're going to have pickups or retakes. So you've got to be able to jump in and find out where the mistake is and fix that. And some publishers or producers are better at telling you exactly where the thing is. But if you can see it directly, like, separate it out on your DAW, then yeah, you're able to jump in and fix it a lot faster than if you've got to like wade through and be like, okay, is it this waveform or is it this waveform, or which waveform is where the mistake is? So yeah, it just makes you more flexible. It's easier to narrate into multiple tracks and then dial it back than it is to narrate into a single track and then put it into multiple tracks. All right. It also makes you more flexible as a producer. If you learn, like, if you're open to learning how to like enhance a voice without like create voice effects, like to make a monster or something like that without it sounding too over the top. That's always the line with audiobooks, is that you don't want it to be too much, because the listener is just listening by themselves. And if it gets too intense, if you're adding sound effects or music or stuff like that, like it or voice effects, if it's hard to understand, like it might sound really cool, but if it sounds too different from the actual audio, then that will put some listeners off. And we're always trying to find that sweet spot, and sometimes we get it and sometimes we don't. But that's what we're exploring at Sound Booth. I 100% advocate for learning how to record in multi-track. Come up with your own system. There's so much room for exploration here, that it's not industry standard, and that's why you should be doing it. Especially, and I will say that with the advent of AI, you're picking a time to become a narrator when it's maybe the hardest, because and I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying that the level of competition now to be a narrator is so much more than it was when I was starting out.
um, with people, but then with also machines, with machine learning, AI, like the voices on AI is great. They're great. They're starting to sound really good. I know I'm not going to say that they're better than humans. Like I think they're great as far as it being a robot, because like we've all heard, like, Siri from like 5 years ago, like, would you like to do this, blah 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 blah. Like it sounds like a robot, but now they sound more and more conversational. So from that standard, yeah, it's great, and it's crazy to see how far they've come. So we as humans, as artists, like we need to kind of stay ahead of the curve. And so learning how to record multi-track is something that, I mean, probably in a year, it's not going to matter. The AI is going to be so good that it's just like, oh yeah, this character is this actor. Okay, all right, this character is going to sound like Samuel L. Jackson. This character is going to sound like I don't know, Eva Longoria. I don't know. Um, yeah, it's probably gonna get there, but for the moment, being able to record multi-track and being able to easily put together, duet productions or multicast productions or that sort of thing, and being able to add voice effects to your sound, like that's only gonna help you as a narrator. Only gonna help you. That was a diatribe. Cassius says, you were destined to narrate Bone Daddy. Well, thank you. Bill Underbridge is here. Hello, Bill. Always good to see you. Tristan is here. Hey, Tristan. It's so great to see you here. Enjoying at work. Good. I'm special. You're special. Everybody watching here, this is going to sound corny, but you are special. You tell yourself that every single day. Not saying you're more special than anybody else. You're just as special, but you are special. You are special for reasons. That's where people get caught, is like, oh, am I special? Am I more special than somebody else? No, 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 no. We don't have to go there. Everybody can be special. So you're special. The important thing is that you remember that and that you validate that. Okay? All right? Just sending love. Kyle says, invested in both story and both, but playing Balatro. I have no idea what you're talking about, Kyle. I have no idea. Bill says, doing all right. This is a high point of the morning. Sound is good. We need more southern accents in Jean. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't know what it was. There was like a yes, yes, yes. There's a thing with Cinder where she repeats the same thing 3 times, and it just sounded like, oh God, what's his name? Matthew McConaughey to me. So I was like, okay, well, these people are all, southern. So stooping while driving gets rough. Stooping? Stooping. So Corgi's here chilling, just listening while you mix dough and bake. Oh, you're a baker. That's so cool. What do you bake? Ross says, you seem as though you enjoy sharing knowledge, and you asked for ideas earlier. Seeing a few videos on voice acting, recording setup, directing oneself could be a fun side channel. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, I can start thinking about videos like that. Every time I hear Elder Frost, my brain jumps to Snow Miser from the Rudolph claymation film. Oh yeah, the Snow Miser. Wait, isn't the Snow Miser, is the Snow Miser from Rudolph, or is it from Santa Claus is Coming to Town? Because I'm not as familiar with the Snow Miser. I'm familiar with Rudolph, because I've seen that one probably 1,000 times. But Santa Claus is Coming to Town, I've only seen once, maybe, and not in its full entirety. But I think the Snow Miser's from that. But correct me if I'm wrong. Don't know if I'll let me post links, but here's my morning's labor. It's my day off, and I woke up at 5 a.m., so I started earlier than norm. It's your day off. You're baking on your day off. That's cool. Not gonna lie, would love to have dialogue between Wolf and Harold. Oh yeah, right. The chuckle after Dead Silent was kind of feeble in my opinion, as if it wasn't from my bones. Yeah, I have a really hard time with those little chuckles. Let me see if Dead Silent. Let's see. Silent. Oh, I don't remember where that chuckle was, but maybe they'll mark it in retakes. Enjoyed my depiction of Enzo. Oh my goodness, Enzo. Why do I remember that? Enzo. Oh, from
Oh, was that time marked Warlock? I don't know if I was Enzo. Was I Enzo? Do 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 do. You're adorable. Well, thank you, Heather. You're adorable too. Sending hearts back. Tristan. Love that Limpet loses her glasses as she trips before catching up. I love that too. And the little Bill says that is very cool. Love pixel art. And yeah, I have to agree. I've commissioned Ernest many times, and he's just getting better and better and better. I can't wait to show you guys the animation for Magical Girl Crystal Genocide, which comes out in a few weeks. That's like he outdid himself. It's some really cool stuff. Yeah, you're trying to develop an ad. The response I got for one of it was interesting was nope, sorry. Yeah, I know. That's the internet. Just I think you're referring back to my comment about the comment that was on this animation. Would you watch it if it was a TV show? No. Lowercase N-O. Yeah. Sin is here. Hey, Sin. Recording session is going well. I'm a bit more chatty today, so yeah, but it's going well. I'm almost through the first set. Got maybe 2 more chapters for this set, so yeah, probably will wrap that up today. This might sound strange considering I mentioned I'm a novice, but if you guys do contemplate a course, I'd be glad to help. I'm switching careers at the moment, but I have been a teacher at the last 10 years, and so if all ever needed help organizing, looking into a training thing, I'd love to help. Oh, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much, and I'll keep that in mind. Because there's other ways to help as well, right? So yeah, it might not be, but yeah, who knows? I'm still not sure what that's going to look like. Kyle says, I'd say you guys don't really miss the mark. Even going back to the Sound Booth Burlesque books, they still are some of my favorite books, and I find myself going back to them every so often. Yeah, like some of that burlesque stuff was fun. Like we had a blast with like Supers, X-Heroes, like that was fun. We like the music, the theme music for that. I composed that, and then Ahmed jumped in and did like a remix of it, which I'll track it down for you and find it sometime. But yeah, it was so much fun. I do miss that. Maybe someday we're talking about getting into romantasy at some point, but we'll see about that. Nicholas Ramsey says, funny, I was thinking you sound very similar to the ChatGPT voice I picked. Yeah, I wonder how they trained it. God, those voices. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Like the ChatGPT, I've got like a British lady who like, she's so like it sounds like I'm talking to a person. Like it's actually fooling me. It's so good. And it reminds me of like puppetry. I think that's, and it's funny because I got back from this trip to Asheville, and a friend of mine down there gave me a puppet. And so, but also my other friend told me to get ChatGPT. So I came home from this trip with ChatGPT and a legit puppet, and talking to myself with both of them. And the experience is kind of the same but different. It's really kind of fascinating how AI kind of sounds like, is kind of like a puppet. The AI may sound like the actor, but can you breathe life into the character like you can? We shall see. Yeah, well, this is the thing, and breathing life into a character is kind of subjective. And some people are like, Meryl Streep is very, very good at breathing life into a character. Me, sometimes I'm very good at breathing life into a character, but one of the toughest things about narrating is consistency. I've got to be on it for so long. And there are times where I'm not breathing life into a character. I'm going into autopilot, and really I'm thinking about the laundry, or really I'm thinking about, something that somebody said, or, and I get distracted. And once I'm distracted, I can't breathe life into the character. You know what I mean? So AI can't breathe life into the character, but it can match when a human isn't breathing life into the character. I think that's what I'm saying. And people sometimes don't really mind it. Sometimes the listener can hear life in the character even when the actor isn't breathing life into it. And that's kind of the same thing with a puppet, where the puppet can kind of it's a relationship between the actor's perception of the puppet and the viewer's perception of the puppet. Because even just this, like, people can find meaning in it if they have a strong enough imagination. Mama always said I was special. Well, Mama was right. Mama was right. I'm telling you. Alrighty, headed to take my kid to school. Thank you both for both your wisdom and candor. I'll be around in the coming hours. Hey, well, thanks for sticking around, Corgi. Thank you for hanging, and I hope you learned a few things today. Snow misers in both. Okay, gotcha. Enzo is from Time Marked, but Ryan did him, the werewolf guy. Okay, I thought so. I thought it was Ryan. I was like, I don't think that was me. But thank you. I think I did play him in... oh, no, I didn't. I didn't even play him like on... SBTL. That was still Ryan. So Supers was so good, man. Yeah, it was fun. I would love for you guys to try and do the Trapped Mind Project by Michael Chatfield. Oh yeah, what do you like about that one? Harold, Wolf, Montgomery. Those are some of my favorite ones oh yeah, Montgomery from oh god, right, Montgomery. That was Gunmeister Online. Wow, flash from the past. Going back to older books, World of Chains, for example, you really hit the mark way more often than you think. Same with the rest of the team. Hey, well, that's great. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you felt that connection, Kyle, because, you know, I listen back to some of those older ones and I'm like, ooh, ow, ooh, oh, ow, no, oh, don't do it. Oh, it's torture for me. It's torture to listen to my earlier stuff. But again, not everybody has the same perception, and we're our own worst critics and all that. So, all right, let's jump in for some more Dead Tired. Chapter 8, Murderous... Oh, never mind, sorry, this is the narrator. Chapter 8, Murderous Mantises. Chapter 8, Murderous Mantises. Rem was bored. Very, very bored. The entire trip from Yuzhang to Shiitake City had been a long one. The entire trip from Yuzhang to Shiitake City had been one long, boring trip filled with nothing to do but be bored and worried. She had not had a single chance to take a bite out of the annoying maid sitting next to her. Not one. Alex must have known that Rem was looking for an opportunity to lunge and bite their stupid maid head off, because they never lowered their guard. Once, on the second day of their trip, Rem had stared at Alex's face for a few hours, watching the way the morning sun filtered through Alex's stupid soft hair, the way their eyes focused so diligently on the road, the way their little chin had the faintest of dimples in the middle. Alex hadn't been paying attention, not until they turned, whipped out a handkerchief, and started to rudely wipe the saliva off of Rem's face. Rem was going to eat them. She was biding her time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It would come, of course. Alex would lower their guard one day, and Rem would be waiting for that very moment. Then she'd wrap Alex in her strong arms, grab onto Alex's stupid, pouty lips, and rip them off of Alex's face. Then she'd wrap Alex in her strong arms, grab onto Alex's stupid, pouty lips, and rip them off Alex's face before chewing their delicious maid intestines. She was looking forward to it the entire trip. But no. All Rem had found was boredom. Days sitting on a padded bench not designed for mantises while they rode atop the hilly roads of this nowhere part of the world. The flaming steps had nothing to see and less to do. It was no wonder the Jade Throne didn't care about this place. It was no wonder the Jade Throne didn't care about this place. Why should they? There was no good hunting, no good fights, and the magic in the air was thin and constantly washed away by the wind. Rem was actually looking forward to getting back to her home. More or less. She knew what her mother would do. She knew what her mother would do to her if she was caught. The outfit with the lapels and the soft silk undershirt and the warm pants covering all of her legs, that wouldn't be acceptable. The Mantis Queen would rip it off of Rem like a little human child ripping into a present. Then the nice butler uniform made by Alex, who even Rem would admit was a good tailor, out of materials that seemed like even the most powerful of cultivators would be proud of, would be tossed aside. Rem was more worried about herself in that situation, of course. She'd be eaten, which was how a lot of her sisters ended. Rem could still vividly remember the example her mother had made of mess. Rem could still vividly remember the example her mother had made of mess. It had taken weeks to get the pieces of that sister cleaned up. What are you doing? Alex asked. Rem turned towards the maid, then glanced down. At what she'd been doing. The tip of her scythe was carving little designs into the wood of the carriage's bench. She was actually very good at that kind of carving. There were several images of mantises with large scythes and terrifying faces, which was her, and several depictions of maids. Most of them had their heads drawn on the ground next to them, with fountains of blood coming out of their delicious neck holes.
Nothing,
Rem said.
If you're doing nothing, then maybe we could do it while practicing your magic,
Alex asked. They were being encouraging again. With that stupid, nice tone, like Rem needed any help.
Rem doesn't need help.
I didn't say you did, Alex said. A warm maid hand came out and patted Rem on the back.
Just that you might want to practice some more. A butler's job is to improve their master's lot, but also their own. A butler's job is to improve their master's lot, but also their own.
Rem's improving herself plenty,
Rem said rather testily. Alex smiled that insufferable smile that Rem kept seeing in her dreams.
Okay, I don't want to push you too hard. The journey to improvement is never-ending, but that doesn't mean that you can't take little breaks along the way. One trick is to switch from one task that's difficult to another that's a little simpler, like going from cleaning a chimney to simply sweeping the floor.
Rem doesn't care.
Anyway, I think with Bone Daddy occupied, we can take a little tour of this. Tour of the city.
Rem blinked her eyes at that. The suggestion had come out of nowhere. Since they'd arrived in Shiitake City, all they'd done was drive the carriage around the city's confusing streets. Rem had been tempted to make a run for it a few times already, but she didn't think she could escape the maid. She definitely couldn't escape Harold. Mem was gone already, stumbling away like a moron to do whatever stupid thing she was going to do, probably with her stupid mage hand that she'd figured out before Rem had. She brought her scythe down onto one of the little mantises carved onto the bench a few times.
Fine,
Rem said.
where does the maid want to go?
Alex shrugged.
Oh, just exploring. It's nice to know what's available. It's nice to know what's available. It's nice to know what's available in the city. It's nice to know what... It's nice to know what's available in the city. It's nice to know... It's nice to know what's available in a city. Local delicacies, sources of raw materials for our work, the food and current fashion trends. Even just knowing where a reliable general store can be valuable. Even just knowing where a reliable general store is can be valuable.
Rem rolled her eye stalks around. This was exactly why she didn't want to be a stupid maid or a butler or whatever. This was a waste of time. Her mother had told her that the only way to grow stronger was to hunt and fight and consume the flesh of the things that didn't want to be eaten. Her mother had told her that the only way to grow stronger was to hunt and fight and consume the flesh of things that didn't want to be eaten, like cultivators and other mantises. Shopping and buying things didn't feature in all of that. Shopping and buying things didn't feature in all of that. Her powerful mother didn't shop. Her powerful mother didn't shop. She was given Her powerful mother didn't shop. She was given expensive and glorious gifts from the envoys of the Jade Throne. Rem had never received anything from the Jade Emperor, but she was just one of her mother's many hundreds of children. She would need to be much stronger to distinguish herself enough for that. Still, Rem couldn't find a reason not to follow Alex just then. It was better than sitting on the carriage, parked in some stinking stable.
Okay,
she said. They both stepped off the carriage, and after a minute or two of Alex's usual fussing, they started talking. Alex led with a stupid smile, steps light and measured, the long skirt of their uniform billowing out slightly. Rem didn't know how they moved without making noise. It was infuriating to be the louder of the two. She was supposed to be the predator. She was supposed to be a predator.
Why are you hissing and waving your arms now? Why are you hissing and waving your arms now?
Alex asked.
I want to be the quiet one,
Rem hissed.
Then doing that seems kind of counterproductive. Then doing that seems kind of counterproductive. Then doing that seems kind of counterproductive. Then doing that seems kind of counterproductive.
Rem stared at the maid, who smiled innocently. She didn't get along with Alex. The maid was too different, too weird. Alex had a way of smiling and making jokes and making things happen, but it was all a trick. Rem knew it was a trick because the maid had tried it on her before. She had thought for a brief moment that it might have been working, that she was starting to like the maid. That was when the truth had hit her. Alex was an asshole. Rem knew assholes. She was an asshole. She liked being an asshole. She was good at being an asshole. Assholes and cultivators, Rem's mother had once said, were always smiling and saying that they were doing things for you, but in reality, all they cared about was themselves. Rem could respect that. In herself. And maybe in some of her more tolerable sisters. Sure, they'd stab each other in the back, but it was understood. Alex was a new sort of asshole. The kind that actually cared about the stuff they pretended to care about. It was all very confusing, and it didn't fit into the neat dynamic that Rem had grown up understanding. Prey, predator, asshole, cultivator, food, mother. The 6 things that everything fit into. Alex didn't. It annoyed her.
We can start with the shopping district, Alex said. A lot of stores will be closing up, but there are some that stay open late. If you want to buy something, I can teach you how to barter. But for now, I think it would be best to just take a look and see what kinds of things the city sells and for how much. Then we can plan out where we want to shop tomorrow when the markets are in full swing. What do you think of that, Rem? Do you want to look at the shops, or should we find somewhere to have dinner first?
Rem gave the idea some thought.
Food,
She said. Food was the best option. Alex grinned.
All right. I have some discretionary funds. We can eat somewhere
Alex cut off mid-word, and Rem found herself ready. Alex cut off mid-word, and Rem found herself readying for an attack. And it came, but not physically. There was a mantis on the road ahead of them, standing there while looking right at Rem.
Rem?
She asked. There was another mantis up on the rooftops, just their heads sticking out to stare. Rem glared.
Rob?
She hissed.
Rob and Mug?
The 2 mantises grinned.
This is a stick-up. Give us all your meat, Rem.
So ridiculous. So I just give Annie is all of the mantises, the mantis sisters. Duh.
Give us all your meat.
No, it sounds like you really like that series. I've heard good things about it. It's a very well-received series. All right. Okay, so I just gotta crack my lower back, you know. Sometimes you just gotta crack the lower back. Yeah, that's what you gotta do sometimes. All right, so I'm going over to 180. I'm gonna make this set just a little longer than I normally do because there's so many gaps between chapters. So yeah, it's just every chapter is like 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So it could either be a really long set or it could be a really short one. I don't feel like explaining all of that, but boom, 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 boom. You get the idea. All right, so jump right in. My God, though, that was probably the smoothest narration I've ever done. This here is a 1.5-minute segment of no mistakes. That's well, we'll see. Oh, here's another big one. That's a 1.5 minutes of no mistakes. Hey, look at me. Look at me go. I'm flying, Ma. All right. Being opposed to bad sects. I swear, there's probably a ton of puns. I forgot about that one. There's probably a bunch of puns that actually are just over my head in this book. And in any Ravensdagger's books, he's relentless. Okay. Chapter 9. Chapter 9. robbing Rob. Alex took a moment to properly assess the situation, as befitted a maid. The two mantises, Rob and Mug, according to what Rem had said, were out ahead of them. Rob was up above, the mantis hanging halfway off the side of the rooftop, 4 of her legs holding her back from falling, and her wings spread wide to assist her if she jumped. Mug was closer by. Alex had learned how to read mantis expressions some time ago, though it was still tricky. Mantises didn't have normal mouths or eyebrows. There was a little that could be read from the position of their eye stalks, but most of the time, if someone wanted to know how one of them was feeling, they'd have to read their body language. Mug looked like someone excited, body bent forwards, legs tensed to jump, wings folded but trembling excitedly. Alex imagined that Mug was maybe planning on launching herself out of the alley she was hiding in. Alex imagined that Mug was maybe planning on launching herself out. Alex imagined that Mug was maybe planning on launching herself out of the alley she was hiding in. Mug was mostly focused on Alex, so there was nothing to worry about.
Hello, Alex said gently. I'm Alex. You seem to be familiar with Rem already.
Yes. Yes.
Rem said.
Come down and try to kill Alex, please.
There was an excited frisson that passed. Oh, how do you Americans pronounce frisson? Frisson, probably. Oh, frisson. Okay, it is frisson. Good. There was an excited frisson that passed through Rem's entire body. Alex wondered if Rem was more excited to see her sisters die, or if it was the fighting itself that excited her. In any case, if Rob and Mug did attack, then Alex would have to fight back. It might not come to that, however. Mug was looking at Alex, head tilted to one side slightly so that the mantis could get more eyes onto Alex.
You're a cultivator?
She asked. Alex smiled.
No, not really. I'm a maid in the service of the necromancer Harold. Rem here is my apprentice in the maidly arts. Rem here is my apprentice in the maidly arts. I'm training her to become a butler at the moment. I hope you don't mind me using you as an objective lesson in manners and respectability.
Mug looked from Alex to Rem, then back.
Rem? Who is this idiot?
Mug asked while pointing a scythe arm at Alex.
That's Rem the maid,
Rem said.
If you think you can eat Alex, then go ahead. Try. I want to see. But Alex, you're not allowed to turn them into butlers.
I see. I suppose training one mantis to become a butler is enough work for me. I see. I suppose training one mantis to become a butler is enough work for me, Alex admitted.
We're not going to become butlers, Mug said. We're going to take your stuff. I want your pretty dress and your money and your meat. You can't eat, Alex.
Oh, she got British there.
You can't eat Alex!
Rem snapped.
Yes, I can,
Mug said. They sounded almost confused.
I just need to put them in my mouth, then do like this. Yum, 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 yum. Just need to put them in my mouth, then do like this.
They moved their mandibles, chewing on air as if to show Rem how it was done. They moved their mandibles, chewing on air as if to show Rem how it was done. How it was done.
Yeah, I've been eating stuff all my life. I want a pretty dress too,
Rob said. Mug spun, a quick, sudden motion that left her staring up at Rob above.
You can't! I called it first. It's mine after I take it. Yeah, okay, it's yours. But then I'll take it. No!
Mug said. She waved her arms around in protest.
You always do this. I steal a thing and it's mine, then you take it. That's not fair. Then don't be so easy to steal from then, idiot,
Rob said. Rem huffed.
None of you are taking Alex away from me,
Rem shouted.
Alex is my maid.
Alex felt a little flutter in their chest at that. It was nice that Rem was being a little protective. They were still planning on teaching her to be a proper butler, and butlers needed to have a certain degree of possessiveness towards their master, but there was no reason they couldn't encourage a little protectiveness as well. Alex was surprisingly proud of how far Rem had come in such a short time.
Now, Alex said calmly. This situation is devolving into a fight when really there's no need for that. I must warn you that I can only allow a certain amount of interference in my work. Rem, you might want to take note of this.
Of what?
Rem asked.
We're just posturing. We haven't even started killing each other yet. Yeah,
Mug said.
You're supposed to give me all your stuff, then I kill you.
Why would we
do that?
Rem asked.
Because if you give me your stuff, then Rob will know that that's my stuff. Then I kill you because I'm hungry and the maid smells strong.
Alex blinked, then very surreptitiously sniffed at their armpit. There was no detectable scent. Rob jumped off the roof, landing behind Mug with an earth-shaking thump. She was bigger than either Mug or Rem, taller and thicker. Alex guessed that she was also older. Alex hadn't paid too much attention to it, while Rob was far above. Alex hadn't paid too much attention to it while Rob was far above, but now that she was on the ground level, the scars and old wounds dotted across her body stood out a lot more.
If no one wants to do anything but look stupid at each other, then I'm gonna just do my thing,
Rob said. The large mantis lumbered over to Alex. Then Rem stepped up in front of Alex. Alex was touched, but this was a bad time for that. They cleared their throat. Rem and Rob stared at each other, the former with her head lowered and the latter with her own eyes looking down.
I'm not going to let you steal Alex. Only I get to eat the maid.
Alex reached over and gently placed a hand on Rem's shoulder.
Chivalry is an important aspect of a butler's methodology and way of life, but in some cases you must be willing to step aside. I thank you for your attempt, but please allow me to handle the situation in a manner appropriate for a maid and not a butler, such as yourself.
What are you talking about, stupid weird maid? Rem asked.
Rem, I know that this is your sister, but we have a job to do and a schedule to keep. We are here in the city for a reason. If you want, we can continue shopping after I've taken care of these two young ladies.
This isn't the time for a lesson. This is time to kill Rob and eat her.
Alex shook her head. Rem was nice. Rem was nice, but there was still so much they had to learn.
Let's take this opportunity to study one of the caretaker arts, notably the art of packing. Let's take this opportunity to study one of the caretaker arts, notably the art of packing.
Packing?
Rem asked.
Yes. Observe carefully, please. Yes. Observe carefully, please.
Alex said. Alex said, a hand dipping into their purse. Alex said. A hand dipped into their purse and removed a small spool of ribbon. It was made of a rather simple cloth, but dyed in a nice greenish color. A simple pattern. A simple pattern of lace. A simple pattern of lace was inlaid across the middle of the strip of ribbon, giving it just a little bit of flair without distracting the eye too much.
There was once a chore quite bland, for which no one raised their hand, but a twirl of the wrist and a magical list summoned forth a helpful mage hand.
Rob leaned back hard as not one, but 7 mage hands appeared around Alex. Stepping closer to the mantis, Alex flicked the spool of ribbon out, then ducked out of the way of a quick swipe of a mantis's scythe. Stepping closer to the mantis, Alex flicked the spool of ribbon out, then ducked out of the way of a quick swipe of the mantis's scythe. A mage hand caught the spool, another the furling ribbon. A mage hand caught the spool, another the unfurling ribbon, and then Alex dove forwards, rolling under Rob's blows and between her many legs. Hopping up on the other side, Alex swiped their dress clean of any detritus, then caught the spool of ribbon. Rob tried to spin around to attack Alex, but that only made things worse. The mantis was covered in ribbons. Some lengths were folded onto themselves and tied into knots, while others had looped around Rob's scythe's head and many limbs. The mage hands were swooping in and out like birds of prey. The mage hands were swooping in and out like birds after prey. With a dull thump, the mantis hit the ground, rolled over a few times, then came to a stop. Alex clapped their hands together, smiling down at the mantis. It wasn't their best work, and a little flashy, but it had worked. Mug was laughing. It was the same sort of laughter that Alex had heard before, and that made the entire affair less enjoyable. It was the same sort of laughter that Alex had heard before, and that made the entire affair less enjoyable. Rob looked like a confused holiday tree. She tried to move, tripped, tried to correct herself, and only got caught even more in the web of ribbons.
See? See?
Alex said. Alex said.
This is what a proper application of a little maidly creativity and simple spellwork can allow you to do. This is what a proper application of a little maidly creativity and simple spellwork can allow you to do.
She gestured to Mug. Mug stopped laughing.
Your turn. Your turn. Your turn.
There it is. Oh my god, I'm having so much fun, you guys. Ugh, this is so good. That's so much fun. Fucking love these characters and just love the antics, you know? Oh, skipped ahead. And 9. All right, well, I think I'll do... Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is awkward because all of the chapters are just under 10 minutes. So we try to start every chapter at a 10-minute mark, but if it's like 9 minutes and a half, we'll skip that. But then we also don't like our sets to go over the 200-minute mark. It's just too much kind of to navigate. So I guess this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 10-minute segments. So that is, yeah, 100 minutes. Pretty much exactly 100 minutes. So should I do... No, you know what? I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it. It's okay that it's shorter sets. All right, so file, save live set as, needs DS, needs AP, needs AE. All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. That was Dead Tired, the cold read, part... Oh my goodness, where am I? Where am I? There we go. Part 2. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and staying with me. Let me see here. I did cackle at the opposed to bad sex in the last book. Not sure what that even is or how it's spelled. Frisson. Annie is going to love or hate this one. Oh, she's going to have a blast. She's going to have a blast. Even my phone's autocorrect can't help me. Well, there you go. The limits of technology. Hey, so that's all from me today, you guys. This has been an absolute blast. I love hanging out with you. Thank you. So many people stayed and hung out. We had, 10, 11, sometimes up to 18 people today just chilling and watching. That that makes me feel really, really good. So I appreciate you guys hanging out and just, keeping me company and dropping in the chat every now and then. Really, really great to see all of your faces or your names or, what have you, and interact with you guys. So don't forget, you are special. We don't hear that enough. You think that only as a kid, Mr. Rogers can tell you that you're special. But as soon as we're adult, we have to forget it. We have to be adults. But no, it's true. And we do forget it too quickly and too easily. So just remember that. Treat yourself with love. Look after yourself. Anybody here who's sick, I know, someone earlier was saying that they're sick. Ross, I think it was. Yeah, Ross saying he has got the flu. So Ross, I hope you feel better soon. I will be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. ET. So yeah, I hope you guys will hang out for that as well. And yeah, if not, I hope you have a fantastic week. And if you do, I hope you have a fantastic week too. All right. I'm going to end this stream. You're going to see a little bit of an outro again for anybody who didn't see this. This is an animation put together by the incredibly talented Ernest Rivera. You can find him on Instagram by searching WNDLIGHT. That's wind light without the I in wind. Yeah, he's super talented. So that's what you're about to see. All right. Until tomorrow, 10 a.m. ET, you guys. Keep keeping it real. I don't know, I just made that up, but do it, I guess. Ciao.